Hi, I'm Matt Lehman. On the stream this evening, we're going to work on my journaling app, and I've got a actually rather unusual project today where I'm kind of winding it down. So I've been working on this journaling app, and I've actually committed to, at some point, had committed to doing every line of code online. And I made the decision probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been a little bit since I've streamed. That I want to shut the app down. It's like it was a software as a service that was a journaling app that was available for people, and I just wasn't seeing any kind of market traction with it. So rather than continue it on indefinitely, I made a decision that it would be easier to manage if it was just for me. And so I'm going to work on that this evening. I also in the process decided, you know what, I'm going to switch this over to be a Go application. So that's the other big change about this. I've done a couple things in the process of using the app this way. Well, I've not been working on this machine, so I'm looking at what's going on with my language server to see what's up, and doesn't seem to be happy with me. So I don't know if I need to resolve that first. So my plan is this evening to continue on the Go app version that I'm making. Hey, John, welcome. And continue to work through it. What I ultimately want to have is like my website will remain what it was in terms of it'll be a domain, but as you can see, it's already changed in its messaging. There's no longer an app here that you can sign into, but it's going to keep its very simple mechanisms. So and those mechanisms are receive emails from SendGrid, process them, put them in my journal database, and then also send emails out regularly as a daily prompt to remind me to do a journal, because that's what the core application was. So with my spare time, what I've done is I have implemented the webhook receiving side. So that code's already done. And I'm not even starting from scratch here on what I'm doing with the actual daily submission. So I've been actually spending a fair amount of time using Grok. I've been doing some vibe coding, I guess is the term people use. And let's see if I can sign into X here. I'm not signed in, so hold on. Let me put the secret screen on to make sure I get signed in without any credentials being shared. So I gotta put in my user account here, and oh cool, it wasn't gonna hide anything sensitive it seems, but that's good. So I'm gonna load up Grok, bring this back, and I should have a history session that I've been working with this. What did I call this one? Was it this one? Yes, it was. Okay. So the session is such that I've been going back and forth with Grok on how to make the various parts of this. And with the app now, so if you followed along with the JourneyInbox app, I had a Python Django app. It had all the bells and whistles that came along with that, including like Stripe integration and mail integration and just everything that you could imagine. Didn't have a lot of polish on the user interface yet, but all the core functionality was there. And it included a way to do background processing work and so on. So I don't have that anymore. What I now have is the one little Go server, which I have as app.go. And I'm not even going for frameworks. I'm trying to keep it super minimal. My goal is to set this thing, put it on a server, and basically forget about it, except for the fact that it'll be quietly sending out emails every day, and I respond to it. So I've set also all sorts of stuff up. I've got a little web server here, trying to use as much as possible Go's built-in features, because I don't have complex needs here. I'm still going to keep Kamal, which will have the proxy in front of this. So this will be a little Go web server that will work with the Kamal proxy, so that'll do HTTPS handling, all that sort of stuff. And we've got a webhook. And then, so this is that little page you just saw, which is just a static template. There is an up page, which is the health check endpoint. And then we have the webhook handler here, which I've already coded up. But the other thing that's needed with this and the reason for my session this evening is to complete this guy right here. And that's what I'm going to do. Instead of having a dedicated background worker, I'm going to use a Go routine, which basically, so the web server will be running, and then there'll be a Go routine that's kind of waking up periodically and sending out the email for the day. So the way I've got that configured is the Go routine right here. And if you don't know too much Go, you can just think of it as like a sort of a thread that can do kind of on the side processing. So it's going to sit here in a pretty stupid loop where I'm even like hard coding the time of day. Like because again, if this is just for me now, it's just like, what time of day do I want? So I like to send my emails at 9 a.m. Eastern time. That's my time zone there. And it's going to do that, and it will essentially go to sleep for that time. And then it's going to wake up at that time and we'll send the email. So the email sending, I'm keeping the logic around handling prompts so that I don't get multiple emails sent to me for an individual day. If something messes up about the web server and they need to play catch up, it can do that. So I've got all this like guard logic around checking when the last email was and kind of playing catch up for anything that was sent. And the real core of it is right here, where we haven't actually called SendGrid yet. So that's kind of the goal of this. John, that's a good question. I don't know. I think my projects, I think, will continue. I think what I'm forcing myself to do is invest more time into School Desk. And I think I kind of waffled on that for a while. And I was just getting tired of School Desk. Hey, Zephyr, welcome. Oh, cool. Glad you've been working on a Go app yourself. That's awesome. So I had gotten pretty fatigued by School Desk just because I felt like the stuff I was showing on stream were really detailed bugs that had very specific problems for that domain. But at some level, it's like, well, this is the project that I'm making that has real customers. So got to power through that. And maybe there's an opportunity in there to make that easier to work with or show how to do extra stuff there. Or one of the failures, I probably need to write up a retro on what did I do wrong with this application. Yeah, like how am I going to do work differently for future apps to make sure that they succeed? Yeah, I agree, Zephyr. There's a lot of stuff from Django. Like what I've got right now with this app is, although I've got, actually this is not even the right one. So this, what you see at JourneyInbox, is still the Django app. And what I've done in my configuration is I've got them running in parallel. So I set up a second domain, and the webhook is actually going to beta. So when you go to beta.journeyinbox.com, that's the Go service that's running. So my hope is essentially get the Go stuff running up on the side, and then once I'm happy with it running and sending the code and sending out the emails every day, then I can turn off all the Django stuff because, and I can't show it because it's got a token in it, I have my Django admin still, which is an easy way to see if the entries are getting in there appropriately. And so far, they have been. So I was able to, like the webhook is, the Go webhook is what I've configured in SendGrid. That's working, and it's doing its thing. It's receiving the data. I even actually fixed something that I didn't like about the Django version. So like in the Django app, where should I do this? Let's just do a split here. Doesn't matter. Dummy text. Okay. So I would have my like journal entry, and it would look like this. And what the SendGrid, I'm sorry, this like looks awful, but it's just trying to illustrate the idea. The webhook would do like line wraps after some amount of characters. And so you wouldn't think this would be, and so that would be like one paragraph, and there'd be my second paragraph, like, again, apologies, this looks awful, but hopefully you're getting the idea. So I would get that stuff going, and it would save it to the database with the line wraps, because I was just ingesting the text raw. And the problem is, I don't know if I'll be able to show it, but you might be able to see a little bit if I showed up to kind of the camera. It's also my actual journal entry, so I don't know how much I want to show. Let's see. Yeah, maybe that'll appear. So you can kind of see there's like a jagged edge thing going over here. And that's because of the new line characters. So what's happening is, like, if I rotate my phone, then it will display kind of nicely. The goal is not to see the actual text, the words themselves, but just the shape of it. But that's annoying when I'm like mobile, because I've also something that I've done just for myself is the way I've interacted with my journal these days is I want to read my entry like this with my phone and just like look at it in my email client, and then when I'm actually doing my response for the day, I'm hitting reply and then doing audio dictation to actually craft my journal entry itself. That has been a massive improvement on my ability to journal quickly, and it just improves the content of my journal. I've been like pour out more of myself in it because I'm not just speaking. So my workflow has gone from what I used to do is like type it out and then I'd like correct a bunch of stuff, or I'd do some audio dictation and then correct it and send it all at the same time. And it was a messy flow, and I realized if I just like audio dictate and then leave it as draft, because there are mistakes that come out with that. If I leave it as a draft for a while, and then on a Saturday I can go through each of my drafts and like clean them up a little bit, and then hit the send button. What in the world happened there? That was weird. Gemini just popped up, even though I don't have that on as instruction. I gotta figure out a way to turn that off. Okay. Anyway, so the nice part about this is like it just looks nicer on my mobile client because I was able to solve that with Go. Zephyr, the front end is like really almost nothing. So what I'll have ultimately is this will be the UI for a while, maybe forever, because it all works through email. And if it's only me, like I don't need to sell anybody on it anymore. I'm the one who uses it. I've been happy with it the way it works for a long time, the core functionality. So there's really not anything that I need to make. The only thought I have is like, well, what if I want to edit an entry? But even then, I've got code in there that will, if I wanted to edit something, I can send another reply for the same date and do an update. That is, there is a downside. And the downside is like, usually the time that I want to do an edit is when I get a random entry back. Because if you remember, I don't know, like the two of you might remember, John and Zephyr, the way the app worked is like, it'll send me a random entry of like what was a previous journal entry. And usually it's that time when I'll be like, oh crap, I misspelled somebody's name, or I have some grammatical error. And that stuff, it shouldn't bother me, but it does. And so the ideal flow for me would be like, let me click the link, go to a little web app, a little web form, and then go update it and like have a little edit form that I could hit save. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just put some kind of security through obscurity and put some long token in there that no one's gonna guess how to get to the right edit pages. Like I could think of it being like, let's see, it could be some sort of namespace like, here's the long token, like that, and then I could have an actual date of 2025, whatever, 4/10 would be how I'd get to the, with like an edit link or something, would get to an edit page. And then, your probability of guessing my 64 character token or whatever I use is virtually zero, and it's not foolproof. Like somebody could figure that out and spoof like my traffic or something. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. But low on the priority list. I really just want to like get this going and make it work for my use case, and then clear out all the Django stuff and then kind of leave it and forget it. I've even thought about, maybe I'll go so far as so I got up Heroku. Some of you saw me get off Heroku, go to DigitalOcean. I had 3 droplets on DigitalOcean for 3 separate projects. One was for School Desk, one was for this project, JourneyInbox, and a third one was for a community site that I was running for my local Frederick technology community. I had to recently shut down the community site because of some weird reasons I don't need to get into. And so it just had the 2 droplets. And so the challenge with like consolidating and packing into a single droplet is really one of memory. So I'm on this like 1 gigabyte droplet, and the Django apps, the web app and the server and the worker take up hundreds of megabytes. But in contrast, this like Go app takes up like this much space. So I could conceivably even consolidate and get, have my little Go app for my email stuff live on the same school desk droplet and shrink my cost down to very little, like $8, $9 a month, which would be pretty awesome. So that's all my thoughts about this. Yeah, I guess if I had one little reflection, let me read your comments here. Formatting HTML for emails for work reports. Okay. Yeah. Thankfully I don't have like complex email formatting needs. Doing email HTML is like the worst because email clients are terrible. So I'm sorry, Zephyr. That's rough. And I guess I could do one-time links with time expiration. You're right. That's probably a smart way to, if I cared about the security of making sure that my edit pages are not just like forever editable by anybody, I could do that for sure. But yeah, lower in the priority. I kind of want to. I'm at a point where I want to get to this project done, and then like just be able to focus on a single project with School Desk, and then make some improvements that I think will be helpful. Okay, so I'll leave one final comment for people, and then to think through why I did this or what didn't go well, and then I'll get to the actual code. We'll do some vibe coding, I guess they call it. So I think one of my failures is actually one of the promises I made on the stream. So I committed, and I don't know that I recorded this anywhere. Did I record it? No, I didn't. But what I did say on the stream was I was going to do every line of code on stream. And I think that was good for teaching. Like you can go see the JourneyInbox stream. And granted, you wouldn't have seen the Go code because there's a point at which I said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. But as long as we were actively working on the project, I literally did everything with one small exception that I had to do for Stripe on a very short time deadline that I talked about on stream. I did it all live. And that was, I think, good for streaming, bad for the product. In the sense that it meant that like I couldn't really make deep progress unless I was doing it on stream. And there's some part of me that like with streaming, like the reason I'm streaming this time is because I wanted the consistency of Matt Lehman streams around 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. And I know it used to be Wednesdays, but Thursdays now. Like, so that was valuable, but it also was a constraint, right? Like I was kind of bound to that time slot, which means that I could only get done what was in that time slot. And I know I could have worked on other times and been just like streaming regularly, but I have other aspects of my life and just couldn't be streaming all the time. Just not the way that my family life works out. So in practice, what that meant is that the pace of what I was doing was not as fast as I would like it to be. So there'd probably be a week where like I would have been really inspired to go ahead and just like show you all the start of a feature and then like knock out the rest, because sometimes there's like kind of grunt work that that I would have to explain on stream of like what is I actually doing, and that was valuable to teach, but it wasn't valuable to me, right? Because I already knew what I was explaining. So I think it really really turned down the ability for me to go quickly, and that was a hindrance that caused this project to like go slower than it should have been. There's a bunch of features. Actually, I closed a ton of the features that were there that were like I just didn't do them. So a lot of these later features are things that just never got done for time constraints. So I think if I did it again, if John commented earlier on like what's my next project, if I actually came up with a new SaaS project, there's a bunch of things that I would probably do differently. And every time you learn something new, right? And I think I'd have to say like, I'm sorry, I will, maybe describe the changes that I'm making, but I just cannot commit to doing every line of code on stream because I'm not some full-time streamer that has a lot of hours to do that. So it just wasn't a good fit for that. Yeah. So that's but like in the end, am I sad about it? Like I think there's a trade-off that I've thought about here of what am I walking away with? I will still walk away with the tool that I needed. Because if you go way back to the beginning, why did I make this project? It was because the tool that I was depending upon from somebody else had reliability problems, and they were down. And now I'm in control of that, and I will remain in control of that. And I don't see that problem. Like if that problem arises, it's being like, well, I'm going to go fix it because it's my code to take care of, my server to maintain. So I don't feel like there's a loss there. Ultimately, I maybe also don't feel like there's like a loss of, you know, I think it's a good mode to do some journaling, but I understand that in terms of having like in the SaaS space, they call it like vitamins or aspirin. It was definitely a vitamin kind of product. Like nobody needed this. And I think it's valuable for people, but I clearly got like some signal that it wasn't valuable enough. And I know people even tried it. I know, John, thanks for trying it out for a while. I appreciate that. But it's probably some combination of it didn't fit the way people, not everybody's like me, it didn't fit the way that people worked. It also didn't have enough features to make it compelling enough to stay long term. So that, and the fact that I've deleted, about the database, I've deleted everybody was out, all the people that were trialing were gone. So I went ahead and deleted everybody's database. So my data I've got nothing personal from anybody anymore except me. Just to throw that out there to the world. And that is, there's some kind of peace of mind too, of like, I'm not holding, I don't need to be, if the data leaks at any point, it's my personal journal data. That would not be great. Not that I gush about my life in some weirdly descriptive way in my journal, but I'm not worried about like breaching anybody else's confidence. So that's sort of where we're at. Let's talk about what we're going to do for this session. I think that kind of wraps up like what I wanted to say on it. I see John L there. John, I don't know if you're still there, but functions or class views. I think I lean more towards the function view style at this point. I find that kind of like the Go philosophy, like, you know, you may actually, and well, maybe this is not the best example code. I have become fond of having larger methods. I say this is not the best example code because I'm making knowing that I already have my schema set, I'm taking a bunch of shortcuts with this project just to get me to a point where I have very few dependencies. So this is not representative. But I like my functions that kind of describe everything in one place. So if you're talking about like a Django form view, for example, it sort of says, hey, if you're a post, take this form, process it, save it, do whatever. If you're not, render the page. I feel like with class-based views, it's harder to see that pattern that's common. So that's I've leaned towards that these days. Yeah, the Go app binaries are super small for sure. Like if I do a Go build right now, oops, why is it called? Oh, I know why. Make build. I had to call it app. All right, so then we do size of app is not very big, 18 megabytes. So that's because, so what's in there? There's like, in this particular app, I don't have that many dependencies. If we take a look, you've got the Go runtime itself gets baked into the app image. And then I did incorporate Sentry, and I incorporated a way to read dot files. The biggest thing I suspect is probably the SQLite database driver. Would be, I don't know that for certain, but those are probably the big things. And this, I've learned some stuff along the way. I don't know how much I want to go into. Like, I don't tend to be a Go stream, but I don't know. I guess I'm just a streamer that talks about web stuff. So this was fun in that I found that this particular, if you look at the way drivers work in Go, they're kind of weird. Let's just start there. So if we like go to where the database is, you do this SQL. So use the database SQL package here. And when you open the database, you say open and you give it a driver name. And then you say like the path of your or I guess this could probably vary depending on like if you're Postgres, it might be like a connection string. I'm not really sure. But for the case of SQLite, you have to give it a path to a file, right? Because that's what SQLite is. And if I got rid of this line here and tried to do make app, it's gonna should be, oops, get out of here. Make, nope, where are y'all? Make app or make build. What am I doing? Make build. Why did it do that? It's gonna fail when I try and run it, I think. Nope, didn't get to the database. Ah, phooey. All right, so bad demonstration, sorry. This import is needed even though you can see it's not used, which is why there's this underscore in front of it. And that's because the SQL package says it's kind of like the driver is implied. So when it's looking up the SQLite, it's looking for a driver. So there's this step right here, I guess, I don't actually know how this is implemented under the covers, is registering the driver that's available to use. So it's kind of a weird, it feels like a pretty strange pattern, frankly, to do that, but that's how it was done. So I learned that. The other cool part about this is that there's something called, you can build just regular Go. You can also have C Go, so C Go like that, and it is what it sounds like if you have a C-based extension that works with Go. So I guess Go has a foreign function interface to C, and so there are packages that are written in C that interface with Go. And this one, modernnc.org SQLite, is a SQLite driver that is not written with C. It's a pure Go implementation. And this is important when I get to my Docker file. So I added, eventually all this Python stuff will go away and it'll basically just be this top portion. But you can see that I have CGO disabled. So CGO enabled equals 0 right here when I build it. And so it allows me to like not have compilers and stuff and just use the Go build chain. So keeping it simple is my objective with this app as much as I can, because what I really want to do, like I said, is create this Go version of this app and then set it and basically never think about the web server again. That would be like ideal, or like eventually the operating system is going to need some kind of update, so I will have to worry about it in every 4 or 5 years maybe. But if I could just leave it and not care about it, that would be amazing. Okay, so that's something cool about Go. All right, what else do I need to say? No, I think we're good. I think we're ready to go into the actual code. So I've got this mailer code. This is where my actual job is. So we're not going to get into this chunk at the top. So this is essentially what's going to run it on a daily schedule. And I had Grok separate out the logic from the actual cron aspect of this, which is this function right here, which is a stupid infinite loop. That's what this line 17 is about. It's a for loop that has no for condition. So it's their way of doing a wild true loop in the Go ecosystem. And so the key elements of this is going to do a for loop, and then it's going to sleep basically for 24 hours. It's going to wake up, it's going to call this send job, and then it'll go loop back around, figure out the next time it needs to be called, and go to sleep again. That's pretty stupid, but it's all I need. So really the logic that we care about is down here, and this is the part that we have to work through next. So there are certain aspects of this prompt table that need to be filled in. One of them is the when field. That'll come from that. We've already parsed that out, I think. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's coming from this loop. Yeah. So this is the date we're going to send for, and then we'll eventually get a message, some kind of message ID from the SendGrid API, I think, or at least that's how it was with the Python library that we used. We're going to use SendGrid directly. Previously, if you recall, in fact, I can just bring it up. We can do this is that kind of the cool part about this. I guess we can do a side-by-side comparison with the other code because it's right here. I haven't deleted it yet because I need both. So here's the Python code that has this periodic task. And yeah, the Python code's quite considerably cleaner. Excuse me. Sort of hiding it all in the ORM layer. This is definitely a much much nastier looking version if we're being candid. But I did a lot of this with Grok, so I just like let the AI do it. And I'm hiding some logic in different places. So really, we've got, this is where the actual sending happens. And so this right here, this prompt check is what's happening in a raw format here. So we're saying like, hey, if you don't need to send anything, don't. It's essentially what it's checking for. And then we will, this actual sending are these two lines where it looks for a random entry. We have to do that still to over here. We haven't done that part yet. And then after it's done, it will create a prompt record saying like, you basically successfully sent it. So that's the code that's right here. Okay. So we need to replicate this portion, this line 22 and 23, over in the Go side. And the challenge is like on the Django side, it's going to look like there's no mention of SendGrid here. None at all. And the reason for that is because it's all kind of hidden behind this AnyMail interface. So essentially we just create the content and then we create a generic mail message and say like, send it. I don't need to make this. So what gets to change to this? We get to not use some generic email interface. We're going to call the SendGrid API directly, so that we've got to go learn how that works. We are going to use just an HTML version of this. I have a to destination address already. Kind of. Yeah, kind of. We'll have to put that together a little bit. And then we'll have to construct the subject, and like the actual template content is the other bit that needs to have some correction here. This actually kind of irked me the other day. I realized, oh crap, I have to do this. I got this nice utility function from Django that calculates this nice relative time. I'm like, well, shoot, now I'm gonna have to find that and Go. So there's probably at least, I don't feel like writing this myself. So there's probably at least one more package that we have to pull in to kind of get this functionality, unless it's built into the standard library, which I doubt. Yeah, I could abstract it, but I don't want to. Again, I think this is sort of generally a write once kind of thing. That once this is done and doing what I need to do, I should never or rarely have to touch this code ever again. That's kind of where my head's at these days. Okay, so let's go to Grok and start filling it in. So like I said, I have this Grok session, and I'm using Grok because I don't have access to OpenAI, or I'm not paying for access to OpenAI. I already have an X account that I'm paying for at the premium tier to get the checkbox, and I don't know, judge me on that if you will. I don't care. I did it for some better exposure on some of the automated messages I send to like send out people on Django content. But here's where I am. So I think the last thing I did was talk to it about the test that I want to send, and you can see my method for this has basically been like, hey Grok, write me this chunk of code, and oh, that doesn't work, or also write me the unit test to pair with it, and hey, the unit tests don't work, you've got this thing wrong. And then I've been doing that loop, and that's actually been surprisingly effective. Now, again, not beautiful code. I don't think anybody would say that this is going to win some beauty contest in terms of code, but it's doing the job, which is what I care about. So I think the thing we need to get to is whatever it says here. So let's read up on where I was. I don't remember. Okay. So the current state says that it schedules and sends this stuff at 9 a.m. That's right. And the tests verify that one prompt is sent, which is, or per day, which is what I want. And then we need to get to the SendGrid API. So we're going to have, this is not the real email address that I'm going to send to. I did like kind of mask that for Grok because I don't want to put those things in there. But this is sort of the format that my emails get sent to. There's like essentially a key that goes here. That's like my real, that if you could send it, you could put stuff into my journal. But Grok has a lot of these details that we're going to get to. Okay. Oh, look. Maybe it already did some of this. Let's see what it said. So it's got a SendGrid. I assume that's the SendGrid Go API. So here is my running task. Now, the question that I'm going to have for this thing is, how do we make this testable? Because I suspect that what it's going to be like is, hey, just create a client inside of here. Like, where did this client come from? Yeah. See, that's not going to work, because I want this stuff to be, I want to be able to unit test this and prove that it's okay. So a lot of Go code is the way you would do that is you just like you can see here, we use dependency injection. So the way you interact with the DB is you pass in some kind of handle to the DB. The way you interact with a logger is you pass in a logger. The way that we've taken time and variability of time out of the equation is we're passing in a time instance. Same thing is going to be true of this client code. So I'm not testing this code. I don't mind passing in a client here or creating a client here. Maybe because I could create it all the way at the top. Actually, let's show what that would look like. So like I said, this thing starts with app. And there's this notion in these sort of systems where you're passing data and objects and types down that you care about. And they all have to start from somewhere. You have to create the instances somewhere. And there's complicated ways to do this with DI systems and all sorts of frameworks and stuff. But generally this area, this main function that's doing all this setup code and creating the logger, creating the database, connection, all that sort of stuff. This is called the composition root. You're composing things together. It's all the root of where you've got a big tree of things that you need to build, and it's all put together here. So a lot of the imperative code that's wiring up and connecting and passing in arguments to each other, that all happens in this composition root, and they all get structured together into an object graph. And then the other thing, the composition root is basically once it's done composing, which is essentially everything from line 96 up, it's like get config state, compose, and then the real start of everything happens right here where it starts listening for traffic. So we could, at this point where we have run daily email task, you can see we're passing in the DB, we're passing in the logger. So it's at that point that I think what's going to be the wisest thing to do is pass in the SendGrid client. So it is pretty coincidental you were doing this today, Zephyr. So we've got the client here. We will want to pass it in. Now the trick out of this is, what is the trick? I could use the client. I could maybe use an HTTP client. What's the trade-off? If I used an HTTP client, there's a way to do like a fake client or a fake request. Well, we would not be able to pass that in very easily. The problem is testing this. What I don't want to do is have a test that actually, when you test it, sends email, right? That's bad. So we need to be able to have some kind of fake client that will deal with this. And so there's a couple of ways I could do this. I could find some kind of way to mock SendGrid's client directly and have a fake version of the SendGrid client, or I could wrap the SendGrid client up in some kind of, this is called a gateway pattern. So the idea is like I create my own object that has a very simple interface. And then because I can control that, I could have my mail gateway that knows how to send email, or knows, like, you basically call it with the email content. And then the construction of that email gateway could be the thing that actually has the embedded inside of it SendGrid client itself, which wouldn't be too dissimilar from what we just saw on the transmitter over here. Like it's not a pure gateway. They've kind of wrapped it up a little bit differently here using this email message object. So yeah. And yeah, Zephyr, you're right that if I don't abstract it, I would be a little bit more like locked into certain stuff. So, and I don't have any plan to change from SendGrid. That's the other aspect of this. But perhaps the best way to do that is with a small gateway to kind of isolate this to make this testing easier. Actually, before we do that, let's go look at the SendGrid Go package, because if they include a test client themselves, then I don't need to do the whole layering approach of a gateway. But if they don't, then I will have to get a little bit to get that testing that I want. One layer of indirection. So how about we go take a look at SendGrid Go package. Okay, so here it is. Maybe documentation not displayed. What? Oh, that's not a good start. You guys failed. So here it is. Here's the official client. What kind of helpers do they have? I don't know. Let's just read through this a little bit. Quick start process, blah, 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 blah. Whoa. Let's hopefully they're just like not updating the README. Although it does say 8 months ago. I hope that it works with my version of Go, because I'm way past this. Okay. So we'll have a SendGrid API key. Actually, I think I already have that, perhaps. So let's take a look at the Kamal secrets. So I'm already injecting a SendGrid API key variable, and that's used by Django AnyMail right now. But we don't. So there's no like special key sending or no extra config that we'll have to do in the deploy context. That's good. And so they show here, they've got a mail helper where there's a new email. What is this? Oh, that's like actual email address. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. And then I think what I'll probably do for plain text content is just put in an empty string. I don't care. And then we'll build a message. We'll have to, the hard part will be like rendering the HTML content, but that's fine. And we create a client. We call send. Okay, cool. Easy peasy. I like it. I do dislike the fact that there's oh, yuck, gross. Doesn't seem like there's any testing stuff, so we will have to go with that gateway approach. Okay, well, that's fine. So I'm in, this is my entries package. So this will be the only gateway, I think. I think I can just like create a gateway file. Gateway.go. and we'll just say package entries. In fact, let's continue with the vibe coding. Let's say, okay, we've seen how Grok wants to do this thing, and let's tell it what we want. Let's see how well we can do the vibe coding story. All right. Let's see. This approach. Hey Ron, I'm converting my JourneyInbox project entirely to Go because I'm taking it I'm stopping using it as a SaaS and just making it work for myself. So we're in a process of converting, but good question. So this approach won't work because it's not testable without actually sending email. Instead, I want to use a gateway pattern. Yeah, right? I think Grok will know what that means. That where I have a, let's give it a name. Call it email gateway. Email gateway type that wraps the SendGrid client. Oh, cool. Glad that helps. I want to pass the gateway in from the composition root of main of the main package. The gateway should be testable with a simple interface. Let's see if it understands what I'm talking about. I am speaking in pretty general ways. Oh, Ron, yeah, I guess you've been watching some of the School Desk stuff. The JourneyInbox app, it sends emails. That's how it works. It's emailing back and forth to me and to other people when it was working for other people. But it's got all of my journal in a database, and the core idea in it, I'll describe it in just 1 minute so we can move on. Is every day at 9 a.m. it will look in my journal database. It will pull a random entry, and it will put that entry in the body of an email that it sends to me, to my Gmail account. And the nice part about it is that when I open the email, I can see some kind of something I did in the past and what I wrote about. It's a nice reminder of my personal history. And then adding to the journal is as simple as replying to the email. There's the header itself includes the date, so it gets parsed, and so it knows that in the reply, which goes to a webhook, so a SendGrid. I've got SendGrid configured to have a webhook. The webhook calls my server with data, and the data gets parsed, and it parses out the subject and says oh, this must be for April 10th. Let me take all of that reply content and stuff it into an entry for Matt for April 10th. So it's a very simple loop there, but the fact that it gives me reminders is what's really enjoyable about it, and what keeps me with a good journaling habit. So that's it in a nutshell. Okay, let's just see what it'll do with that. I don't know if it makes sense. I might not have given enough details. Okay. Using a gateway pattern. No, all right. Seems to know what I'm talking about with gateway pattern. Inject a mock. It knew why I needed it. Yep. Cool. So we'll have an email gateway interface. Yeah, that's something different that we don't really deal with in Django much, is actual interfaces. So we'll have an email interface. Oh, good. Let's see if I like this. So the to email, from name, from email subject body. Okay. We definitely need. So what is this going to be? This will be like Matt Lehman. This will be my email address. This will be JourneyInbox as a string. This will be the special Journey email inbox. This will be the specially crafted subject. The HTML body string, I guess. And whoops. And it's going to return us a message ID. Okay, knowing that it like sent it or not. Okay, I feel like that's going to work. We will have the email gateway gets passed in to this, and then it gets passed to here. So this is where this kind of process gets a little like strange, where I'm just basically like copying code from Grok and see what it does. But let's check it out. And so we've got all the rest of the logic, and if Grok did it all right, like we can actually. The nice part is we can see the gutter on my editor shows like which lines will change, and so a lot of these things will be unchanged, except for where we care about. Yeah, Zephyr, I think you're right. I think you're mostly correct. I think that the difference was when they illustrated this, when they had the mail helper, it wasn't bytes buffers. It was actual like strings. So I think that's what Grok is doing here. Is it saying like use the helpers, and then you can just have strings everywhere. But good observation otherwise. All right, so this is going to send, and then after it sends, we've got if it worked or not, and if it did, that's exactly what. So this is like pretty much exactly what I want, and kind of separates the code. That takes the. Oh, okay. Yeah, you might be right. Ron, have I tried repo mix? I have not. Yeah, I wish, one of the things I wish that, so I did, sorry, I'm all over the place, y'all. I did configure, what's it called? Avant? Yeah. So I did configure an AI tool for my NeoVim editor. I don't know that this particular editor, I don't know that I've pulled my dot files configuration yet to have it. But this is a cool way to like get the AI experience like right in a NeoVim split. And the thing I'm not sure about, actually I should, while we're here, can we check? I don't think it's going to support Grok, because I don't think Grok has like a public API yet. I think they say they might someday. I'll search the page, dummy. Nope, no Grok. Okay. So I would love to be able to just say like, let's use Grok as the provider for my particular Avant experience, but I can't. So I've only configured it to work with like Olama, and it's just not very good. I used a DeepSeek small model, and it just didn't do a good job. So we're gonna continue to kind of do the little bit of a more manual approach, and maybe someday in the future I won't have to copy paste so much. So I'm gonna go back to the mailer file, and I'm just gonna literally just like copy paste all this stuff, and reformat it. And you can see now we've got the email type. It did modify this line, and it added this. So looks good. So we've got the new lines that we care about, which we're going to fill those in with real values in a moment. I'm gonna have to pull this from somewhere else. That's gonna be, this is configuration. This is basically like a secret, because of this, not this value. This is obviously a dummy version, but the real one that's gonna come to me is like how that I check on the other side that it's the right thing. So there needs to be symmetry there. And oh cool, it's got the right parsing. Looks a little ugly, but hey, that's okay. Then it sends, and the rest of it stays the same. Okay. Now there's probably what I did like about Grok was it was providing tests along the way, because I told it like, hey, I've been using these tests, and saying like, you might need to try these tests. So when we'll have our actual gateway, so they're putting it in SendGrid gateway. Fine, that's okay. I'll take that. I'm okay with being a little bit more specific. SendGrid gateway. Go, and we're gonna paste that in. Go like this. I don't know. So clearly Grok is imperfect in the way it does stuff. Why? What's going on here? SendGrid go. SendGrid. Oh, that's weird. Maybe it's just I just need to add it. Okay, let's do the go get thing. I think it told us to do that. We just didn't. So we need to go back up here. I don't know why we need both of these. Wouldn't we get it just by having this? Are they really like separate packages? Right? That seems wrong, right? So we should be able to go get, SendGrid go. What the heck? Incompatible. That's not something I like to see. And let's do go mod tidy. So go mod tidy will like look at what I'm using in my code and then make sure that my module files are actually match up with that. We got SendGrid go. I don't know how it suddenly figured out that I needed this, but whatever. Okay, that looks okay. And we got a bunch of changes down there. Is it still going to complain? Where did the OS thing come from? Why did it tell me to use that? Sometimes Grok gets confused and like forgets an import or adds an import, as in this case. All right. I think we also need to tell it, because if we don't tell it, it'll like print it out again the next time. This is something I learned, or it would leave it out. So let's go ahead and make sure whatever we put here. Okay. In the SendGrid gateway file, you added OS by mistake. Please don't include it in the future. All right, but before we hit enter, let's go get the rest of it. Because what I'm going to do, I'm not done yet. I want to actually like apply the rest of the changes that it wants to do. So let's go ahead and take that out. We've got this. We've got our prompt thing. That all of that looks good. Oh, they're doing. I don't want to do plain text. I want to do let's see, in the gateway, please assume that the body is HTML and not plain text. Okay, so that'll fix that when we correct it. And we'll have the client as we'll have a pointer to the client, and it's going to get out the header for that message ID. Okay, so this is the good case. What's the fallback here? Okay, when you couldn't find a header. All right, fine. All right, so then we're going to go to, the problem is my main is different from their main. So what I'm going to do is paste in my main. Let's see. So my main, my main package file is different from the one that you've been using. Please update, work with this instead. And then I'll paste in the whole, I don't even like put quotes, I don't even know to fence the code. It just like figures it out, which is amazing. Okay, so we'll have a mailer test. I think I already have a mailer test. So we're going to change everything here with this. And thankfully, Go format runs after I paste it in. So you can see now it's got a mock gateway that's new. All right, there are a couple lines that changed along the way. So that's that. Let's try and test it before we run it. See how it runs. So go, test, run all the packages. Undefined time. Okay. So forgot something else. SendGrid gateway time. So let's go back to the top. You also forgot to import time. So I think that's all the changes that we have for this like first pass on this. And this is sort of the process that I've been doing. It's like it's worked surprisingly well. What we're gonna find out is like the next step is once it fixes these imports, you'll run it. I'll run it, and it will probably say something like, right? Why didn't you go? Go. There we go. I might get test failures, and then I just kind of go in that tight loop of correcting those things. Now, I have noticed that this grok prompt is taking longer and longer. I think my context window, I've been having this discussion for a while, so it might be sending a lot of context. But I think I'd rather let it have a big context to try and give a more accurate answer, hopefully, that remembers everything, rather than starting a new thread. Okay. All right, so takes a little bit to generate the new stuff. We'll copy that again, and we will go back to mailer and rinse and repeat. Okay. Oh, I think I know what it did. It created it now assumed these are HTML. That was probably the change. Right, I was given that file again. Fix the gateway, hopefully. Okay. Yep, seemed to. And notice I didn't like fix this stuff myself, or I tried to initially, but I find like giving it that memory, and this is where a tool like Avant or Avante might be way better in the future. Is the challenge is like I feel kind of like I have to go edit over in Grok and then copy it back in if I want it to stay up with me. It'd be better if it could be like, hey, I noticed that you changed this, so let's just work with what you've got. And like I wouldn't have to go through that cycle of telling it the things that have changed. So we'll go back to, it's assuming it's called main. I know it's called app. That's the difference there. Oops. Let's change all this and say paste. Got all that. It's added a new key. It noticed the pattern that I like to use, so that's good. I kind of let it have its comments. It's just not worth cleaning up some of that stuff. It's just, I haven't found it useful enough. Claude one-shotted converting a whole project. I don't know that I'm brave enough to go that far. It's like I want some validation. Like, are you gonna do what I actually expect you to do? Like I remember actually, it reminds me of it's not quite the same as what you're describing, Ron, but when I was in college, I did a project and I had to make, I was using C++. I was using Visual Studio C++ or Visual Studio with like managed C++. It was pretty awful. And my project was to essentially like make a music player. So it needed to have all the kind of controls of a music player and have playback abilities for WAV files or something like that. This is back, man, I'm getting old. So it's back in 2004 or so. And I was a fairly new programmer at the time. And I distinctly recall that I wrote a ton of code without testing anything or even trying to compile for a long time. And because of that, I just, when I finally did decide, okay, I'm ready to compile, nothing worked. And because it was so broken, I didn't even know like where to start to try and fix it. It was a huge mess. So I hear one-shotting a whole project, and all I can think of is like, oh man, there's going to be all these problems, and it's going to be more of a pain to disentangle than anything else. May not be true at all, but that's where my brain goes. All right, so we pulled in all this stuff. It took the app and ran my version. I'm really confused about why it needs helper's mail. Like, it should just pull from the whole thing, right? I don't maybe understand that aspect of Go packaging. All right, so send prompt now sends it as HTML. We got that. I think we're good. All right, let's try running it. So go test. All right, so here we go. We got some kind of failure. And this is exactly what okay. So now what I would do is I'd say, copy this literally directly. Yeah, I think it's a hallucination too, Zephyr. It's just, that's not how Go stuff works. Like, once you get the top level package for the repo, it's like, that's everything. So then I'd say, I got this failure. What's wrong? Like, literally, I'm not even trying. I'm not even gonna look at it. I'm just like, figure it out, basically. And it thinks, but it's like, oh yeah, you're right. I messed something up here. Or it, and then sometimes it doesn't recover from that, so I do have to spend more time looking at it. But I'm like, I let it do this analysis first before I even look at it, so that it can be starting to crank out a response as I'm trying to process this information at the same time. How we're counting the prompts in the test. So it's trying to do its chain of thought thing here, where it is reasoning out loud before it comes up with a suggestion. And let's see if it fixes, it thinks it has its fix. So let's try it. Just take this. Like, sometimes I've found that before I even think too hard about it myself, I change the test and see if it managed to do it. Because it's just, again, like, I'm looking for like easy mode on this project. I'm trying to break my own habits. My brain so badly wants to think very deeply about every line which is obviously not a bad thing, but from a speed perspective, like it has, I can go faster if I just let the AI wash over me, you know, like that kind of concept. Okay, so it fixed whatever was wrong, which, okay, cool. Now, so far you might be like, whoa, you're a crazy person for just letting all the system write all this stuff when you don't even have any idea what it does. And you would be right. This is the point at which I am like, trust but verify. So now that it's written all this code, now I like to go back through and say, what did you do? So the easiest way to see that is with the diff view, so I can get a good sense of this. So this code looks fine. Like it's pulling out the SendGrid API key. We already know that's going to be in there because I just showed you a little while ago that we have that secret injected. So that's cool. And then it's calling the the gateway from that. So it's going to do that internally, and then it passes that along to the run job. That's exactly what that needs to do. That thing has an interface. It's this email gateway interface that has send prompt that has all that stuff on it. The run accepts the gateway and it passes the gateway down into the send daily email, which is exactly what we want for testing. So down here, we've got, this is an updated signature. I have the nice benefit of I can fix the user ID that I want. I know which one it is in the database, so that's fixed. Also, these things are specific to me, so that's East Coast time. Those things are there. It did eliminate the comments, which I found interesting. It's now getting rid of the placeholder stuff and the true logic. Okay, that's expected. And instead of this code, ooh, that looks like more change than I anticipated. What did it do differently? Oh, okay. It's gonna bail here if it failed. So it doesn't need this if email successfully sent Boolean check. Yep. So that's right. The trailing space there? What's that about? Whatever. I'm gonna leave it alone. Because it's right in the middle of some SQL, and it should be fine because it's a new line, but it's not worth monkeying with. That's what that bright red is there. It's the diff's way of saying like you have trailing space on this. So it tries to write that new prompt into there, and if it fails, it's gonna say, "Hey, I got a failure." One thing I'm not doing a very good job here of, wow, that was awful English. One thing I'm not doing a good job of here, there we go, is that I've got Sentry configured, but I'm not really like recording the errors properly. So if this failed, I'd be just logging this and then it would do a continue. And that's probably missing the opportunity for Sentry to error. However, I am like, I see this every day. I check my email every day, and what is maybe hard for me to show, yeah, that'll work. See all the blue? Those are all from JourneyInbox, and you can see the little red down here is all the drafts I've completed. The point is, I see these every day. I notice them, and if one was not there for a day, I'd be like, where is my journal entry email? So I'm not really too concerned about Sentry not catching stuff. It's really when, like, if the server like crashed, that's when I would want Sentry to be like, hey man, you have this process that's no longer running. Are you sure everything's working the way you want it to? Okay, so then we've got a mock email, and oh, cool. It's basically just like an in-memory store that's going to hold our prompts, which has the subject and the body string, because that's all it's trying to verify. And it returns so it basically takes whatever it received, puts that into the array, and then returns an ID. Okay, cool. So it's changing comments, fine. Creates the mock gateway, calls it with a new thing, changes more comments. And okay, looks good. So cool. I think we're that's like one step closer. So how much further? All right, so let's take this, and I think we can actually get rid of that dummy file. We don't need that. That was just a junk file. So, oh, the other one I guess we didn't see is the SendGrid gateway. So let's add all these files to the stage, and let's do a git diff on the gateway itself, because we didn't see the implementation of that. Or we did, but very briefly. So it's going to take an API key, which gets passed in at the app, and it creates a SendGrid client based off that. Okay. What I'm surprised is these don't take, like, Go really loves their context stuff, and I'm surprised there's no like context for timeouts and all that sort of stuff. Maybe it's hiding somewhere in one of these interfaces. So we're going to use this new single email. It will populate all that stuff. All right, super easy. Yeah, I will put some of that stuff in my handler for sure. Like the thing that's, all right, so out of this, what's still messy. Oh. Yeah, I could set up a timeout. Yeah, above it, you're right. Something like that. I don't know that it did. Did I? So if we go and look at the mailer, it's just calling it. So we could wrap here. I'm just going to assume that they time out, and then we'll error if it goes too long. Maybe a bad assumption, but again, out of a speed thing, and that's my view on here. So what is left? Well, first let's go ahead and commit this stuff. So we'll say add email gateway to send to SendGrid. All right, neat. So the mechanics of actually doing the sending are good. We've got the Go test here. Can I run? I don't think I can run the app right now because I don't have the. Yeah, it's missing a bunch of things. Sentry is enabled? What? Yeah, that's not right. Okay, well, we don't have to run it right now. We're still at the, and I may want to run it at some point. If I don't know if I'll get to it this evening. Again, though, I'm not committing to doing code anymore live, all live on stream. So there's a good chance that you see what you see, and I might do the rest offline. But what do we need here? So we're going to need to pass in I can't just put my email right here. I mean, I could, but certainly can't show you that. But what I can say is Matt Lehman. That's going to be, and I probably, phooey. I'll tell it that in a minute. No, I got to tell it now. Shoot. So what this email right here, this from email, that's like, if you think about just who's sending, so when the server is sending out, it is like from JourneyInbox. So that needs to go in here. But this, remember this identifier aspect, this hash bit, or this kind of key, is what on the parsing on the webhook side is going to look up and say, like, was this the expected email address that should be allowed to send? And if we look at the actual composition root here, you can see that I set that in a variable. I called it required to address because I wrote the webhook first, and the webhook is expecting it when it's coming inbound, it's to the server. So from going out to coming back, right? There's the symmetry there. So what we need to be able to put here is it'd be the I guess I'd call this like required from address, but it's also the required to address. And how do I express that to how do I express that to Grok? That's the thing that we want to pass in. So that's going to be something that comes into this run daily email thing. Prashant, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate that. So let's work on adjusting those little bits first and getting that corrected. Okay, so we'll say to name needs to be Matt Lehman. I'm gonna have to what should I say? Gosh, it's functioning these two aspects. So I'm gonna personalize it, I guess. Let's say make to email come from an environment variable called Matt email address. This is where this is not reusable code here, but whoops, address. But it's what we need. Then we do from email should be the required to address that was sent, that was connected to the webhook processing. There is symmetry here, like a shared secret. Hopefully it'll make sense of that. Yeah, let's try that. Oh, it put it right in here, didn't it? Wait, where is it? No, 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 no. Nope. No. Wrong. Set Matt email address in the composition root and fail to run the app if it's missing. Okay, that seems right. So this will generate. There's the new one. Weird to see my name like embedded in code that way. That is what we need. Okay. So that has those two things. And now we'll go copy the mailer code. So it passes in. I wish it hadn't used that variable name, but it's fine. And so now we've got Matt email address wired up here. So we're close. We're really close. We've got all of the essentially the envelope portion of this thing set, and we're now needed to create the body. I think that's sort of the last piece. Now, though, unfortunately, it's like the hardest piece, I think, because it's a template. It's needs to be structured in a certain way. It needs to have a bunch of things going for it. But let's make sure we pull in. There's probably like some test code or something we need to update along the way. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So take the mailer test. Change all this. Reformat that. Oh, good. It used mattexample.com. Perfect. Is that everything? Let's run the tests. They all run. Cool. So we've got the new email address. We've got a couple new parameters to the daily job. It passes them to send daily emails. We're almost at a point where some of those things should probably be like in a struct, but I don't care enough to go like correct that. Like you can see we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines here. It's getting a little long for that particular function, but I think that's the end of it. I don't think we're going to have any more that we need to pull. So I'm okay with it. It sets all those fields. We've got an actual update to the test. Those tests ran. We do need to do a couple things here. We will have to use an env example file. We've got the required to address here. We'll also now need Matt email address. That will be matt@example.com. What we'd use. I'm going to go ahead and put these two values in the actual env file, but it might have some actual secrets in there. So 1 second. I'm going to go up, go to the actual file, go down. Yeah, I think there's a SendGrid key in here, so I'm glad I didn't show this. So I'm just adding those two required addresses that we had, and then bring this back. So now I think if I run this, it should run without any problems. It's going to build the app and then run it. Oh, I also need to definitely need you. So you can see it's planning to run that job 10 hours from now at 9 in the morning, or 10 and a half, I guess. I think the other thing I want to do if I'm working on this is go and turn off Sentry. So let's do this again. I'm going to go back to the secrets, and we'll go back to the env file, and I'll turn off the Stripe DSN. I'm going to just change the name to not Stripe DSN. The reason this didn't get me bite me in the Django code is I had a separate variable called Sentry enabled for the other one. So don't have two. Now I'm just relying on one existing or not. So if we go back and now we run make run again, it says Sentry is disabled because it can no longer find my env file. Okay, so cool. That's done. The other bit. Oh, there's a couple other bits that we'll have to do. I need to do, shoot, I probably should do this now. I'm going to forget. So I'm going to do this now. So we have the secrets file, and that will have, this will change to Matt email address, and we'll do Matt email address. That looks correct. And then we'll also open up the deploy file where we declare our secrets and have Matt email address. That's a necessary bit of configuration. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and go into my 1Password and set that. So I got to switch that off for a second. So I'm going to go into 1Password and find my server config for JourneyInbox. So I'm at my JourneyInbox server config. Can't show it to you because it's got a bunch. Well, maybe I could show it briefly. Is there anything dangerous that I can't show? Looking. I think it's fine. Hopefully I don't regret this. Okay. So here's my 1Password stuff. I've made a server thing. If I click any of these, you'd probably see the value, so I won't. But I'm going to add a new thing here for my Matt email address thing that we just created. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going down to the bottom, selecting add another field, and picking a password field, and then it creates a gives it the default name password. So I'm going to change it to Matt email address, and then it has a spot where you put in the value, and that's where I'm putting in my actual personal email address, which suddenly I feel like I'm blanking on. That's crazy. Yes, of course. So I'm going to put in my email address and save that change. So then now the next time I deploy, I should have that configuration there. Okay. So that's that bit. That's done. I think now we're ready to configure all this stuff or commit all this stuff. Yeah. Let me check. Did I lose everybody? Nope. Okay. My bitrate's not great for some reason. Sorry if it's a little choppy, but my Stream Deck is saying like I lost everybody, but I wasn't sure. Okay. So we now have, I'll call it the envelope information. Actually, add envelope info for email sending. Okay. All right, what's next? We've got we might need a little bit of refactoring here. All right, let's talk. So I think I covered this. I took a pause from JourneyInbox for a little while to talk about making a Go app with a standard library. And we talked about specifically this thing, Go Embed. And Go Embed is super cool. If I do make build, you can see here, well, we actually can't really inspect too much about it. Is that true? No, I think I looked into it before. So I've got templates. And I'm going to have a couple templates. I'm going to have this index template, that says, hey, nothing to see here anymore, please move along. But I also will have the template for building that email content. I don't want to like put this all rendered into a single string. I could, but I don't want to. So I'm going to have another template for the content we want to put into here. And right now I've called this directory Go Templates, but that's only because I also have an existing templates directory for the Django stuff. And when the Django stuff goes away, then I can get rid of the other stuff. But essentially I want this prompt template. Actually, I'll probably start with this very thing and then fix it to work with Go. And this is the format we want. Yeah, right. Whoa, that's some interesting. Yeah, there's some stuff in here. We can even clean this up. Like, I know that I'm always going to have an entry. So we're going to have a template in here. And the nice part is when we have the Docker file, like if we look at the Docker file over here, well, sorry, that's too confusing. Docker file. There is a point at which it copies everything from my repository into a certain directory, including a templates directory. Now this is just one file line, but the nice part about the Go embed thing that we're doing is that the actual template files themselves are baked into the binary, and that has this really nice benefit of being very portable. So if I ever needed to move the binary around to a new place, I wouldn't have to also move a templates directory around with it. So they get this like really nice symmetry there that comes with that. So it's a really cool feature for Go apps that frankly I wish. I mean, I'm guessing there's probably some way to do it. I know that there's a way to do it with zip apps and stuff in Python, but there's some gotchas with Python, and Go seems to have made this like really, really nice. So what we're going to do though is create another template, and I'm trying to think about how I want to do this. So I could pull the templates into their own location, or I could just say there's going to be another template. It's going to be like var prompt temple like that, and essentially do this prompt temple and say prompt HTML, and then pass in, well, okay, I said there weren't going to be any more parameters, so I kind of lied. If I do it this way, there'd be one more parameter that would get passed down in here. Maybe that tells me I should stop what I'm doing and just like refactor them for a different location, and then create like a templates package. Because if I did that, what would I do? I think this might be one where I could do it without Grok. Then I'd have to tail it again. Let me think on this for a second. Also, I don't know if I move this into a package, if I have to do like a relative path, or how that works. I think I may. So if it goes down a directory, where does it go? Yep, you're right. I could put it in the mailer package and then just have another embed in there. That's probably the right way to do it, Zephyr. You're right. I think I'm over. I have like this too much of a desire to have all the templates in one place, but that's kind of silly. So let's do that. Let's do Zephyr's suggestion here. So let's go to the mailer package, and we could even just put it in mailer, right? There's no reason to go anywhere else. So here, I think the name I want to give it. Let's do templates. Sure. And let's go get our prompt. We want the HTML version, like this. Go over here, prompt HTML, paste it in. Okay. We know we're gonna have an entry. Well, it's okay. Yeah, this is definitely Django syntax right now, but just to clean it up so we have less to think about, it's gonna look like this. Why is my editor going super slow all of a sudden? What the heck is going on? It is struggling. What is happening? Okay. So there's our template that we're gonna have. And we should be able to go in here. Actually, I can't remember the syntax, so I'm gonna bring this up to the side. And we'll do, I think we need the embed import. So let's take this code, yank it, put it over here. Import embed, import template. And now this is going to be templates prompt. Rename this to prompt temple, like that. I don't really like the name temple, but as a template name, but it's fine. And we will change this to templates. Oh, cool! It like found. I assume it found the relative path. We're about to find out really quickly if it's right or wrong. Yeah, thanks, Zephyr. Whoops, wrong thing. Make build. It had no problem with that. I think if I even did this, it's gonna complain. So we know it's finding the right thing, and also we know it's finding the right templates directory because the other prompt file is like all the way embedded way down here. So if we know it's not this top level directory, it's like looking at a relative path. So that's good. So we have two different templates locations. I like this breakdown. I appreciate the suggestions, Zephyr. That was a good call. I was not using my head there. So now we're gonna have this prompt template. I'm gonna add it to this to get so we find it very quickly over here. Prompt. Oh, come on. Why you make me look like a liar? Prompt. What? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I think let's tell Grok about this. I've added the. Okay, no, let's back up. Let's tell Grok what we want to do, and then we will we'll work towards that. So what we really want to do is we want to build a helper, build a body. So I want to build a helper function that will create a body for the email. I've added a template to the mailer package along with the imports. Well, actually, just tell it the actual file so that it puts it in the right space. And maybe I'll just tell it what the whole new file looks like. Here is my new file so far. Okay, give it that. Here is what the helper needs to do. Get a count of the number, the current number of entries in the entries database table. I've already talked to it about the database table earlier when I was using the webhook, so it probably still remembers this. So I don't need to tell it about what that table is or the schema or anything. We want to. Okay, let's go over to how I did it on the transmitter and look at how we implemented get random for. Oh, nope. Oh, wow, I'm way behind on here. Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, I've got some ORM specific choices in here. Pick a random number from 0 to count -1, representing a random entry to pull from the table for okay, we have to be more specific here. For user ID 1. It needs to know it's about me. For user ID 1. Okay. Use the body of the entry because that's the field name that I have in the model. If we look at the actual, it's a text field. The body field has the content that will go into the template. Let me show it. Ooh, this will be interesting. So we have the prompt template. Actually, maybe you can help handle this template better than I can. Here is the template. Here's the Django version of the template. This is what I like about, I don't know, AI is like super powerful for this stuff. I just give it, I give it what, like the general pattern, and it gets pretty darn close. So here's the Django version of the template. I want an equivalent version of this template for Go. Yeah, shoot. They're missing the delta, so that's going to be a problem. Let's go back to the transmitter and say the piece of context that you are missing is that the come on. delta variable is created in Python code from time since from, probably need to tell it get out of the way. Django's time since utility, and looks like I don't need an exact clone of time since, but I would like to see relative times displayed. All right, let's see how it does with that. I also want to see it get to a point where I could talk this out easier, or be able to converse and like just paste in a piece, and as I'm talking that it's just dynamically working through that. I think that would be super cool. I don't think we're there yet, but it's pretty cool. Oh, okay. Okay. So we've got all that stuff. That's all. All right. Hopefully it figured all that out. So we're going to add the helper function, crafting a Go version of our template. We're going to use a user ID 1 from to get out our entry. We're going to pick a random one, use the body, get a relative time delta. Okay, so cool. Got a template. Make sure it's the right one. Yep. Neat. Cool. So it's got the right formatting. That's neat. That just seems to be like built in the right style, and that is what I want. Let me actually verify. I'm pretty sure that's what I want. What I send currently. Yeah. So it was able to figure out Django's formatting style. Those specific letters map to certain things, and I say full name of the day. That's correct. Comma, 3-letter month name, then the date of the month, and then the year. That's right. So good on it for getting the formatting right. And this is assuming that it actually did that correctly. But I think it's pretty good with this stuff. We have to compute the delta. So hopefully it'll have something there. And we have the body. We'll ensure it's safe. Okay, cool. So it's going to create prompt body. Approximate delta. All right, I think let's be careful with this like relative time calculation. If it does days, like it'll be stupid if it's purely days, because some of these things are from thousands of days ago. I've been doing this for years, so that's not what I want. So we'll make sure that it's paying attention to those things. Let's just copy what it says first, be kind of blindly. Come over here, select it all. Whoops, I didn't select it all. Change, paste. Okay. So here's what it's doing. We're creating a body. We're passing the database handle and the current today. That's right. Hold on. What's today? Why didn't it pick date? Or why did it pass in today at all? It shouldn't need to. That's suspect. Let's be careful with that. Because it shouldn't need that today. Oh, it's doing it to calculate the delta. Okay. All right, so it did need it. Creating some data. Putting in a buffer. Okay. I don't like the implementation of the delta calculation. But other than that, it seems fine. Oh. There's no reason to call seed. Yeah, you're probably right, Zephyr. There's just weirdness here, because okay, I should give some examples. Time since for this entry says 5 years, 3 months. This one says 2 years, 2 months. When it's around a month, that's when it'll do days. Let's see if I have any that were close. This one says 7 years ago. Doesn't even bother with months because it's close enough. 1 year, 4 months ago. So there is, it's mostly like number of years, number of months. When it gets close, I have had the ones that are recent. It's like some number of days, or like 3 months and 5 days ago kind of thing. So it's like the distance it gets away. At some point, TimeSense will have a better calculator there. So let's not laser in too much on this. Let's first of all say, let's give it this. Okay. Did it give me any test update? This test code? No. Okay. I got this warning about random seed. So we don't need that, probably. Okay, so let's just walk through what it's doing. So it's selecting the count from the entries table where user ID matches user ID of 1. Yep. So it shouldn't have any problem doing that. It keeps going. Apply this prompt. Okay. Fine. This code path will never happen, but I'm not going to yell at Grok to fix it. It doesn't know that. I think I've told it that there will always be entries in there, but that's fine. So it's doing what I want. Which is basically the right query. So we're selecting the date and the body from the table as a string and a string. We are making sure that we're still doing the where to get the right user. Otherwise, none of this calculation will be right. We're ordering it by when. That was good. I don't even think I told it to do that, but good on it for getting that right. Although I don't think it would have mattered because it would still be kind of random. We look back at the models. think I might have a natural ordering on this stuff. Maybe I don't. Yeah, I don't think I have an ordering on it, so this is actually a little bit more accurate. Thankfully, I have a DB index on the when, so the order by is not going to be a big penalty. Not that it would matter much, but that's something to observe there. And then we're asking for one and saying offset it by some offset that we calculated. So that should all be right. And we're parsing when into a time object from the string. Cool. This should never fail, but okay, cool. All right. Feels pretty reasonable. So let's get it to give us a better relative calculation. Also, the relative calculation is too primitive. I have entries from many years ago, and it's not useful to see 2,000 days ago. I'd rather see the years and months. Is there a third-party package that can calculate this, that can produce this? For reproducible sequences, we could use rand instead of a specific seed, but for our use case, we can simply remove the seed. All right, fine. There's no built-in Go equivalent, but a third-party package, Monday, provides relative time formatting similar to this. Well, let's go check it out. I don't know anything about this project, so I want to make sure it doesn't have like 1 star and is going to go away on me. Monday. Still not a lot of stars. Who are you? Who are you, good sign? You might be a great developer, and I don't know you. Good sign. Monday is a minimalistic translator for month and day of week names. Supports 20 different locales written in pure Go. It's an old package. And he did update something 7 months ago. What does it look like? Redefine formats. Okay, it's not just one person either, so he's giving contribution, which is a good sign. So maybe it's fine. Let's at least ask, are there other versions? Before committing to Monday, are there other popular Third-party packages. Now we're searching the web, apparently. Okay, now we're doing a comparison. Cool. I mean, if it produces results like this, that's exactly what I want to see. Actively maintained, maybe. Limited to predefined granularity, that's okay. I don't care. Humanize has more options. Okay. Django has a humanize package. But I don't need that stuff. Oh, also doesn't really do what I want. Temporal. Ooh. Less mature. No. Don't need a natural language processor. Okay. Stick with Monday. Yeah, I got you. I agree. Okay. Let's do it. Let's take their version here. So change and then paste and create prompt body, go to definition. Okay, so now we've got all that code's the same. And Monday format. FMT is no longer used. But we want to go get Monday. Got that, and then clean up the mod file. Okay, and then this saved. All right, let's see how the tests run. If they still run. Yep. Cannot use today variable of struct type time as string value. Come on, copy this. Okay. Let's copy all that. A build failure. Did it say there was a build failure? It sure does. All right. Okay. Let's say, okay, I'll stick with Monday. I have a build failure. Monday expects time values for its first two arguments, but the third argument should be Monday locale and not a string. Incorrectly. Okay. Don't care. Kind of just fix it, please. So it's updating. Okay, so that code is updated. Might be updating some tests, but we'll see in a second. Change this. Why are you doing that? Huh? Did it format the Go code improperly? Sure did. Look at that. Huh? Y'all got confused. Still messed up. I've seen this before. It was like, nope, you just didn't do it. You didn't do it right. Okay. So first we'll say, here's my code. And then we'll say, it is still failing with that. Curious what other people use for their AI coding. Do y'all do this regularly? Do you have tools that you like to use? Does anybody else use Grok? My code doesn't have a misplaced hyphen. No. I corrected that. You guys. Hey, you guys. I fixed that. The hyphen before is invalid. Yep. However, the error points to this, which is correct in your code. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, Zephyr. Just a nicely formatted string of the duration that shows like the delta between when the entry happened, that's the when, and whatever today's date is. So something weird is going on here. Maybe it did correct it. I think it's gonna fail again. I don't think that's right. All right, I'm gonna have to stare at it a little bit longer. Next, I think we're out of luck here on what come on, what Go thinks about this code. Yep, it just does not like this. What are you looking for? You're looking for, so it's like assuming that you pass in like two things. A layout string. When? Okay, I think it's not correct. So let's go look at how you're supposed to use it. Your time, your layout. Monday is a minimalistic translator for month and day of week names. How does it get the like current time? Right? Like if I look at time sense, there's two times. There's when, and then there's today to get the delta. This is like when, which is a time, but this is not a time. What is it? So how does this work? Time format. Give me an example. So format returns a textual representation of the time value formatted according to the layout defined by the argument. Is one of the layouts like relative to now? It's called layout to see how, okay. Layout has a bunch of things. What? These are all just like formatting things. Like, none of those are relative. Maybe we got an example where Grok like didn't know what it was talking about. Or maybe it's We'll keep going. Let's see if there's any like relative in here. Relative, nope, not in here. Okay. Oh, we're on the time package, just the general time package. So Monday is like a different thing. Okay, shouldn't get. So they're just saying that they have a similar interface. You should replace this. Okay. Monday format, your time. Locale, English. Predefined formats. What? It's a temporary solution to use while international feature. What? Temporary for like the last 12 years? Is that what you mean? I don't understand this package. How can you calculate a delta? Is a time, okay, is a time not a, it's not a date, I guess. Okay, maybe that's the thing. It's not a date. So it's all like the time is already a delta. Is that right? There's a Go playground, right? I wonder if we can, you can use, can the Go playground work with third-party packages? I doubt it. Okay. What if we tell Grok what the signature is? Like, it's just wrong on the signature. Your layout. Your layout. What's the layout supposed to be? Layout. So utilities. Don't think it's right. Or I don't think Grok was right. Okay, let's go look at a different option. That I think we got led astray here. Maybe. Humanize does sound like a good fit. Because it matches the name that I know from the Django world, so it seems like that those people would be doing what I would think. I don't understand this. Granularity. Okay. Maybe I don't even care. It's not quite as granular. This has a lot more stars too. Look at that. That's kind of what I want. "12 seconds ago. 3 days from now." Okay, so maybe it does like the full label too. All right, let's try this instead. Some AIs mess up, man. That I don't know what else. This is like, thankfully, this is why I do these small little checks, because stuff happens. So let's see. Let's just tell it like, I think you were wrong about Monday. Don't think it works don't think it works the way that you think it does, please switch to Go Humanize. Jeez. It's like you tell it you're wrong and they're like, oh yeah, whoops, sorry. Okay, whatever. Rel time, maybe that's what we want. Let's go look at the Go docs. Rel time. Rel time formats a time into a relative string. Takes 2 times and 2 labels. In addition to the generic time delta string, 5 minutes, the labels are used to apply so that the label corresponding to the smaller time. What? What am I missing? The labels are used. The labels are used applied. That's not English. I mean, it's English, but not good English. The labels are used applied so that the label corresponding to the smaller time is applied. Okay. Maybe Grok just fixed it and used rel time. Let's copy and assume that let's assume for a moment it did. Because it probably did. Whoops. Why are you showing me that? Stop it. What is going on here? Stop this nonsense. Okay, so now we've got humanize. There are no errors this time. Let's go to humanize, look and see how it did it. Used rel time. Why is my editor going so slowly all of a sudden? It might be my keyboard, might be my editor. I'm not sure. Okay, I can go forward pretty quickly. Back is going very slowly. That is so weird. Oh, whatever. No, it's totally my keyboard dying. Or it's the computer being weird. That's all looking normal. I've never replaced the batteries in this Microsoft keyboard, and I've been using it for like 2 years, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is the keyboard. Oh boy. All right. Sigh. Okay. We didn't make any fake entries in our database table, so it's like blowing up. It's being like, I don't know what you're talking about. We also didn't do a go get on that stuff. So let's go get humanize. and do a go mod tidy. Man, that is getting really, like, you don't appreciate how much you value your keyboard working until it just stops working. Holy crap. All right. And let's also make sure that, what was the other one called? Monday, right? Let's make sure that's not in there. Go, oh, come on. I just like can't type anymore. I might just have to end the session just like not typing. Monday. Case of the Mondays. Okay, it's gone. Good. All right, so we have the Go tests are failing. That's fine. It's not a build failure anymore. It's like a test failure. So we can tell it to do this, and it has, with some other tests for me, created fake data to use. So that's probably necessary. So let's give it that information of, well, let's see. Actually, did it give me test? No. I don't have a build failure, but now I have failing tests. Here are the errors. Yeah, I know. You didn't set it up. Yes, well, it's not populated by the webhook, but you need to assume that it exists. All right, so it's going to create some database stuff now as part of the process. Again, we're like, hey, thanks for tuning in, Zephyr. Appreciate your help. We are not really caring so much about some of the quality of some of these tests that it's producing. If I was in a more long-term setup that I cared about getting this, I only really care about getting this, proving to myself this is going to work before I switch over to it. If I needed to really extend this long-term, probably would clean up some of these tests so they weren't quite so verbose. But don't care that much. I'm just really like, make it work time. So we're going to go over to mailer test. We will switch this data to this, and then we're going to try running the test suite again. So what? Oh, boo. I was about to say what this is doing is creating an in-memory database and creating records there, but it's not quite working right. This isn't working yet. Now I have these errors. Yes. We went over this last time. Okay, I did this before and didn't like the T part, everything after, like the full ISO 8601 timestamp. So hopefully it will correct things. Is it done? I don't want to copy it before it's done. Okay. That's the mailer piece. Okay. Did it also have to update the test code? Says no. Okay. Hey, cool. All right, let's take a peek at what it's doing. So now we've got Go Humanize in there. We have a random package. We've got some bytes. What I'll probably do, because I'm about to wrap up here. I've been going for coming up on 3 hours. Is these tests seem to be working. I think I have everything needed to deploy this stuff. So the next step probably is to deploy this and see if I get 2 emails for the day. One would come from the Go code. One would come from the actual Python code. And assuming that the Go code actually matches, or doesn't have a match, of course, but assuming it looks right, then we would use that. I should also note, I gotta tell it what to do about oh, maybe it already handles that with the template HTML body. Yeah, okay. I got one more question for it, and we'll get to that in a second. So looks like it parses that properly and then humanizes it and then puts all this data and puts it in the template. That all seems good to me. And then it populates that in the actual work here. And now we're going to the test, and it's creating a record and inserting some entry content along with our email changes. And then we're changing from the Django version of this to the Go version of this. So the other bit that I want to see, or I want to ask about, is how do I phrase this? We look at the prompt one from the Django side. We'll say the Django template uses the line breaks filter on the body to insert BR or P tags as necessary. Does this implementation account for new line characters that may appear in the entry body? Spelled implementation wrong. Oh well. Yeah, okay, no you didn't. Or at least it says it didn't. Current implementation doesn't handle this. It uses template HTML to pass the raw body string from the entries entry into the preserving any existing HTML, but not converting text new lines into breaks or paragraph tags. Okay. Well, that's not good. Convert single new lines to break, convert double to paragraph tags. Yeah. Go's template escape strings by default, but HTML bypasses this. We need to pre-process body. Yep, okay. Well, glad I asked. Let's go ahead and add this chunk. Hold on. GDCA. Oh, okay. That's what was us adding the template to begin with. So let's add the version that we have so far to the get stage so that when we paste in this new version, we can see the delta quickly. See what it's doing. Gives you an appreciation for what Django can do. Because there's all these little things of like little filters here, little bits of polish there. And this is why, you know, if I was building up a big app, I don't know that I would reach for Go for this kind of stuff. Go is great for when you're not doing a lot of rendering. It's great for like JSON APIs and or using protobuf or whatever. But the fiddly bits of the web stuff, the really big web frameworks like Django, really have it kind of locked in on all these nice features. Okay, so we want to go to the mailer and change all that content, paste it in. Most of this is the same. Where did it change anything? Is it here? Where is it? Okay, line breaks. Line breaks. Where are you? Oh, okay. Okay, so it's another utility helper, I guess, that is getting called on the body before. And then passed saying it's safely, that's HTML, don't worry about it. Okay. So then we want to take, there was another test modification too. It says in test send daily in. So it's not even like giving us the whole chunk anymore. It says replace this. So we want to copy that. Test send daily emails. There is, we want to find insert entries entry. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Now it's got a multi-line thing in there. So we should test this. Hopefully see ask test. Cool. Okay. Ooh, I think that's everything I want. Let's take a quick look before we call it done. So we've got a new prompt template. We've got a line breaks utility that we're gonna basically, because what format the formatters, any filter in Django templates is essentially taking whatever you give to it, in this case the body, and like passing that as the argument into a function. And so this is doing the same thing in Go code. It just wraps up body and calls and returns a new version of the string. So it's giving us an implementation that's splitting out, figuring out where the new lines are, looking for multiple new lines, or if there are two new lines in a row, is replacing it with a paragraph tag. We're getting a random entry, I think, and we are then rendering the template eventually, and then we call that. We pass it to the body, which we have sending to our gateway. So it's going into here as the body, which we said is going to be HTML when we send it over to SendGrid. So, and then we've got a test update here to make sure that we actually have some test data. There's our template, pretty easy peasy. And then we have that one import for Go Humanize. I think that's right. So we'll say add Go version of prompt template. I'm not really going to do end-to-end testing here tonight. I think this probably, if this works, I can report on it later. But my next steps are going to be just describing them out loud. The next steps will be, I will probably go to my other laptop, or this is not a laptop. I will go to my laptop and do a local test with some data and see if I can actually send it locally. Like, I'd like to see the behavior, see what it looks like, maybe even log it out, kind of print it to a file, something like that, before calling SendGrid even, because if it might save me some trouble. I don't know. I'll do that verification, and then I will deploy, and hopefully both emails show in my inbox. If the Go one is good, I will then go in and inside of the Kamal config, so there's the deploy configuration, I'll turn off the worker. Because the worker's only job right now, the only thing that it's really doing is, the only thing it's materially doing, it's cleaning up sessions too, but the only thing that matters is it's doing the daily email send. So at that point, I can turn that off. I'll reclaim a huge chunk of memory because it won't be running. I'll be just down to the Go web. I will leave this is the Django web version right now. I would leave that alone for a little while because I would want a few days where I could actually verify the whole loop, because I still have the Django admin. That's the piece that I'm losing when I switch to Go. I'm losing the admin. And so I can use the Django web server, but since it's writing the same database table and reading from the same database table, if this is working properly, I will get random entries from Go. I will do a reply. It'll go to the webhook. The webhook will write the entry in the Go side to the database, and then I can look at the Django admin and verify that everything's working. I have already looked at some of these entries and verified that they're coming in, so I don't even know if it's truly even necessary. Really, it's more like a validation of, hey, this is working. So that's, I think, going to do it for me this evening. Thank you all for joining in. Hopefully this, I guess in the process I've covered tonight, like, why did I stop on JourneyInbox and what am I doing instead? By the time I'm done, this app will actually have no Python code, I think. I don't know that there's anything that I need to keep around from Python, which is a little sad. I love Python, but I don't dislike Go either, so I'm kind of indifferent to that. But ultimately, we'll have a much lighter app. So that's my goal. That's where I'm going with this. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a great evening. Take care.